FX Gay TV. I'm Dr. Charley, and here to interview some of our wonderful New York artists and photographers. So thank you for tuning in. Also, don't forget you can go to our website, fxgaytv.com or frutaextraña.strangefruit.com and get information, also see our shows and get wonderful information about the things that are coming up and where we're filming. Don't forget to watch us in New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, and of course all over the world on the internet. Thanks. Hi, welcome. Today I have Ricardo Francis with me. He's from Houston, Texas, and also via Panama, so he's another Latino that we have here. And we're talking about his art and some of the wonderful things that he's done with his art. And actually we have one of his pictures here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you and what about your art? How long have you been doing this?
I've been an artist since I would say about 4 years old. That's when I knew, like, cosmically, like, that was my life path. That's what I wanted to do. But in terms of painting, I didn't really start until I was about 14. And I had a middle school art teacher, John Gaines. One day he said, "You're going to be a painter." And I was like, no, I want to continue drawing comic books and working in that thing. And he's like, "No, you're going to be a painter. I'd see you more as one." And he took me to the side and he really kind of coached me into thinking about color, composition, technique, that kind of thing. And after a while, I began to really like it, and that's what I ended up becoming. And
you became an artist, a painter.
Yes.
And you have exhibits not only here in New York City, but you also have them in Miami. And I understand that you're going with Leo to Dubai and Shanghai, and you're going to Basel, the art fair in Basel in Miami as well. And you're exhibiting your work everywhere. One of the things I always wonder is, as a kid, were you also like drawing on the walls and making pictures on the wall and having a family call?
I was drawing on the walls, I was drawing in books, I was drawing on little scrap pieces of paper. Anything where I could put an image on it, I did it.
And where do you get your inspiration for your paintings?
People and nature. Definitely people and nature. And specifically, men is my sort of primary focus because I feel that as a man, I feel that we in many ways, especially in most societies, what we symbolize is always very objective. And we're not seen as people or real, or that we go through things, or that we have any emotions.
So you're feeling that men are more objectified than anything else, and you're not allowed to have those emotions?
You're not allowed to have any level of sensitivity and any level of depth to one's character and that kind of thing. So.
And you did a whole series on naked men, didn't you? And it was very controversial, I understand, in Houston.
Well, to me it wasn't.
Tell me about that. Well, you know, as artists, we never see our work as being controversial. Right. We always see it as, you know, it's just art. But what was controversial about it? Why don't you explain to me a little bit? And I think we actually have a copy of the picture that was in question that became very controversial, the saint. Is that correct?
Harlem, yes.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about that? And I'm sure Eric is going to give us a copy of the picture. So tell me a little bit about it.
Actually, a good friend of mine, Lauren Kelly, who works as a curator at a university back in Houston, Prairie A&M University. At that time, she had put together a show called Church Incorporated, and basically it's images about specifically the Black church that was inspired of the idea of art and how art responds to religion, basically. And one of the paintings she chose, it's interesting, she chose the painting along with a few others that I had in the beginning of that series, actually, and sent the work to Houston, you know, and thought everything would be fine. And then she called me one day and she was like, "Ricardo, I hate to tell you this, but the painting of the nude was taken out." And I was like, "Why?" And then she told me why, and I understood, you know, but at the same time, it just, you know.
And you wonder why, what was behind it, whether they were embarrassed because you had, you know, a man and a black man at that doing and I believe it was like this, like a saint. And there was also the mention of you had a very long penis on the picture too, so that was part of the controversy that was having.
I mean, it wasn't. It just, you know, it was, as you would see in any typical painting in a museum of a male nude or a female nude. It was. Yeah. Just,
well, because if you look at the statue of David, I mean, he actually has a very small phallus, you know, whereas some pictures of men, especially black men, have that longer penis. They have a longer feature, a longer appendage, you know. You know how that one commercial goes, you know, that part of your anatomy. Also, maybe the idea of how you play with the image of religion as well. Take this one, for example. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this picture and how it came to be? Because I actually, when I was looking at this, I'm like, I recognize the person in that picture.
Yeah, it's me.
Which is you.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this picture.
Actually, this one, it was the day that I thought I actually died, and that my soul was going somewhere else. So I completely didn't know what was happening. But I've been diabetic since I was 6 years old, and there were times where I've had insulin reactions where my blood sugar was so low that my mind was completely somewhere else. But this time, I just felt like I'd already passed or was passing over into another spiritual plane or some other place. And as soon as I gained consciousness and got control of myself, and I sat down and I thought about it, I was like, you know, I'm going to do a self-portrait as Saint Sebastian. That was the first instant idea that I had. Because me, I had to take insulin injections several times a day. So visually,
and Saint Sebastian is known for.
He was a Catholic priest that was died in a hail of arrows, and I mean that image has been repeated countless times by artists.
Yeah, and for you, the arrows are symbolic because it can be kind of like the syringe and stuff, and the injections that you have to take for your diabetes.
Which I dread.
Which you dread. And we were talking about, you know, diabetes being like the lover you can never get rid of. You know, it's always there. It's
the lover you don't want to have.
And the lover you don't want to have, the stalker. But I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. And again, how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to get information about your art? Or I know that they have to go through Leo to book you on your artwork, but how can they get in touch with you if they'd like that? Your phone number, your website where they can go to?
Go through Leo first.
So give me his info.
It would be Leonidas Arts. Leonidas Arts New York, right? .com.
Okay.
And then also the email address is thevache, which is THEBACHE @msn.com. And his phone number is 646-739-6901.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us and for your beautiful work.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Dr. Charley. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Leo, standing in front of the Skyline Hotel in Manhattan on 49th and 10th. And the Skyline Hotel is actually going to be converted into an art hotel. Yes, and Leo is working with the owners on that and bringing this wonderful artwork into the city and into the hotel. And Leo's going to take us around.
Yes.
So one of the beautiful things about a hotel is that you're coming here for a lot of different reasons, for business, for relaxation, and so on. And I got a little quick peek of some of the stuff, but why don't you tell me about some of the stuff that is around here?
This painting, as you can see them sitting here, the paintings and the sculpture are supposed to interact with the customers. So the customers feel like they're in an ambience of art and you know, art and comfort.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so the idea of bringing art into your life, even though you don't, without having to go to a gallery, without having to go to an art gallery and do extra, so that you can just enjoy your artwork here as well.
As you can see, as they spread out even in the vestibules, in the elevator. This is from very famous Puerto Rican artist that I'm representing now, Rafael Colina Melendez. These are more of Mark's paintings, and this is the artist Ricardo with Mark. We are going to, the restaurant is also going to be converted into an art space also.
Oh, wonderful.
And we're looking for a chef also.
And you can do artwork with the chef.
Well, food is art.
That's right, it is. And what's lovely is that you can just, while you're waiting for somebody, while you're waiting to go upstairs, or when you're finishing your day, you can just walk around and see all the beauty that's surrounding you.
And we decided here in the computer area, public area, to put art and photographer for with the sculptures for people to be more relaxed. So while they're waiting for computer, they can sit here and enjoy the atmosphere.
Right. And I see some of Terrence's work.
Yes, you
over
interviewed
there.
him already.
I interviewed Terrence as well. Yeah. Some of his wonderful artwork and his photography. And I keep calling it artwork and paintings, but it is artwork.
But I call them paintings.
Yes.
He says it's photography, and I said, to me, they're paintings.
To me, they're paintings.
Yes.
Yes. And it's something that you can touch, and we talked about it before. I tend to do a little bit of touching everywhere and always wanting to touch and make it feel real, which is the beauty of it. And to have the paintings in a hotel also allows you to have a little sense of intimacy with the paintings, whereas when you go to a museum,
or
you know,
everything,
or a gallery, everything is hush hush, and you have to behave a certain way, or everybody's, you know, making their interpretation. But here, you can just walk along the halls by yourself or with your partner, and just enjoy whatever you're looking at, and take as much time as you want without feeling that you have to hurry.
Well, when we had the grand opening here, we had over 300 people intermixing with people checking in. So there were people with drinks in their hands, and people just blended in and with their suitcase coming in, and they all joined into a party, because art is for everyone.
Yes. Yeah, and the beauty of it is that you can just walk at your leisure, or just, you know, sit down and have a drink, where you can't do that at a gallery, really, and you can't do it at a museum. And they won't kill you if you have a pencil or a pen with you.
Know, and they all know that's for sale. So people even like it, and they can buy it and take it home with them.
Excellent, excellent.
We will be having events in the penthouse on the top, which is all glass enclosed, also with a swimming pool, where we will be having art events also. That I hope for you to come and interview the artists at that time, and probably take a swim.
Oh, I would love that.
These are other works from Mark Vincent.
And just the beauty of all the different colors.
Yes. And this, when we went to Art Shanghai, he was inspired by the Chinese gardens. So this is what is it? Cherry blossoms.
Yeah, I haven't been to China yet, but I do want to go someday.
Well, I wanted to.
So next time, feel free to take an interviewer with you.
I was going to do a show in Puerto Rico, and I was going to take Eric, but the show never came through. Because I would like for you guys to travel.
Yes, well, feel free to send us there.
And right here, like in the bathroom, we have
art in the bathroom.
Yes. You could go by.
I have to go to the
Okay, that's all right.
It's an art installation.
This is from our Barbadian
like
artist.
That, actually.
It's called The Breadfruit.
This one over here?
Yeah, this by a Barbadian artist. And then
John Hull? Is it Walcott?
Walcott, yes. And this is from Ricardo, that you interviewed it also.
Right. And John did the one of the love potion.
The love potion, yeah.
Yes, I love that
and
one.
This is from that other Puerto Rican artist, Colón. As you can see, since you are a sexologist.
In sexology.
You see? You can see the sexual symbols.
And it almost looks like these are little mandrakes. If you remember the history of the mandrake is like a fruit that looks like a part of the body. And actually, I was doing a workshop in Washington State, and one of the participants actually brought me a mandrake was an eggplant that was in the shape of the goddess, and it had the breast and the belly. And it was just so beautiful. And I tried to keep it for as long as I could.
I believe that that's what the artist, the Puerto Rican artist, did. He used the tropical fruit to do it. This is why he calls it Pink Dreams.
Yeah, wonderful.
This
is the first time that I've heard of a hotel bringing their art in. So you're the first ones in New York City that's actually doing this. That's wonderful.
Good.
That's totally innovative. And maybe we can have more than this hotel, because I know you've had a couple of galleries out in New York City, and you also have a couple in Miami.
Yeah.
And you're planning you're taking some of your artists with you to tell me, Shanghai.
To Art Shanghai, to Art Dubai, Art Basel in Miami, and maybe all of us can go together.
That would be great.
Take a trip.
Hey, like I always say, I go wherever they send me, so I'm willing to travel. But thank you so much for letting us view these awesome paintings and for bringing this to New York and all over the world.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, so welcome. I want you to meet my guest, Joseph Governali, who is our surprise mystery diver, and he goes off to the East River here in New York City and goes and dives for buried treasure. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it all started about 1998 when I was doing a documentary, a full-length documentary on the history of the Bronx. And I actually stumbled upon the memoirs of Commissary General Delancey over at 42nd Street at the public library there, the rare book room, and in his memoirs was a hand-drawn map of Hell Gate and the location of 4 wrecks, one of them being this ship called the HMS Hussar. And the ship was a privateer, which is like a legalized pirate ship.
And so it's really a pirate ship, but you got a license to steal from other people.
That's right, exactly. You know,
Yes.
more like our government. I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
No, okay, anyway.
No, we never heard it.
So going on.
Yeah.
So they robbed all this money, and they had a bunch of payroll money on this ship. And in those days, the British pay was in gold coins. They didn't have paper. So the entire ship was loaded with all this treasure, and they were rendezvoused with other ships of the line, and they loaded their entire treasure cargo onto this one ship. And one of the reason why it had sunk in the East River, Hell Gate, was because it had attacked this one French ship, which was not any kind of a battleship. It was just a passenger ship. And when the French fleet found out, they were soaring after the Hussar to sink her. So she decided, well, let's go into, she had to come to New York City anyway. And the bottom line was she was supposed to drop off her entire treasure cargo at New York City docks at Cherry Street. But unfortunately, it was met by 12 British Royal Marines who instead put a bunch more of gold on her and sent her up to Gardiner's Island.
Yeah.
So on her way up to Hell Gate, boom!
And she sank. I did a little bit of research, and it was saying they weren't sure if they offloaded the payroll or if they didn't offload it. And you actually found some stuff, didn't you?
I sure did.
So what did you find?
Well, aside from finding some silver coins and then finding also some pottery and a lot of ballast and the actual wreck itself, we got to find some nifty little things like these garnets and stuff like that. And so this is just basic garnets in the rough. We found tons of them, but we got to find some cut stones as well. See, now the British, in those days...
I'm going to take one out.
Sure, go ahead.
But go ahead, the British
in those days used to like garnets because they were deeper red than rubies. They didn't think rubies were expensive.
You're like just making sure I don't open this thing,
you gotta
right?
be a treasure hunter.
You have to be a treasure hunter to know how to open this little box.
So, there you go.
Yeah, that's like I was telling some of the people. I love touching things, and I I like seeing them, and it's
Right.
wonderful
See,
to
now,
just
you're
touch
wearing-
history.
You're wearing a ruby,
Yes.
but they would not consider this valuable because it's
Really?
not red enough for them. It's too pink. So they would cut one of these stones, which is darker, and set it there instead. That's what they would do. So in actuality, this is, you know, that they'd have, it's really a shipload.
And if you see some of the pieces, and we also have some pictures to show you about some of the pieces that you actually did find.
Yeah, yeah.
And that you have actually, you said you have in a vault.
That's
So I definitely won't be able to open that one.
Right.
But you're also going on a new dive, aren't you?
We are.
And you're taking us with us?
Yeah, we're
Or
gonna
you're
take-
taking us
yeah,
with you?
That's right. That's right.
For the dive?
Yes, we're going to take you guys along with us, and but you won't be diving.
No. I'm a chicken. Anything that has
No,
bigger
no.
teeth and moves faster than me underwater, I don't want to be next to.
In Hellgate, if I find anything in there that's moving around, I'll be the first one out of the water. Because all that's down there is sewage anyway, so you know,
Okay.
it's a dangerous area to dive.
And Hell's Gate is here in New York City, correct?
Yes, it's right by the tip of the Harlem River, meeting the East River and Long Island Sound, and the Bronx River, all in that one little area. You have Rikers Island on one side, and you have those prison barges there. You've got North and South Brothers Island, where Typhoid Mary used to hang out. And then the Bronx coastline, Randall's Island, and it's right there. And it's smack with all these currents going back and forth because the riverbed is not flat. It looks like a heartbeat, kind of. And so, you know, we only have about a 45-minute window to dive.
Really? Why is that?
Because slack tide, which means there's no tides at all and the currents is faded out, is the only time we can dive. That's only 45 minutes. Only. And that's usually in the middle of the dead winter, around February.
Ooh.
Now we probably have 30 minutes. So it takes us 2 hours to anchor. It takes us about another 30 minutes to prep. And then we hit the water, we get down to the bottom. It's about 75 feet down to the bottom. And then we search around, we do this, we do that. You know,
Now, do you have somebody with cameras going and filming what you're finding underneath as well?
Yes, we do. We usually have our own lens on the side of our helmet, but.
Okay. And you mentioned the reason why you only have 30 minutes is because it's dangerous because all the currents are fighting against each other.
Exactly. So if you're a novice swimmer and you should fall accidentally into Hellgate, just contact your next of kin. I mean,
Do the cell phone. As long as I want the cell phone, that's it, fine.
It's real dangerous, the area. And I know that one time I almost died. And that was that I was diving, and I was diving in a wetsuit, not a dry suit like I should have been. And I decided to come up. My buddy, we always do a buddy dive.
Okay.
My buddy went up first. I went up second because I wanted to find some more stuff. And I got hit by high tide. And I was literally holding on to the anchor line like this. And my body was moving around like a flag in the wind.
And you were telling me the tides come in, they're like 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, they're 14 knots. They're about 14 miles an hour, but they're really wicked, really wicked. I mean, you could see the buoys up like this, and you know that the tide under the water, if it's like that on the top of the surface, under the water, it's really bad, really bad. And, you know, we have to announce to the Coast Guard that we're going to be diving a week beforehand. So on that day when we're diving, they usually send out broadcasts to all the vessels coming into, because that's the international waterways. That's not a local state waterway, it's an international shipping lanes. So you have all these vessels coming from the UK, from Europe, and coming through Hellgate to hit New York City and then back out into the ocean.
Oh, wow.
So they're always sending out these broadcasts that there's divers in the water, and they always know what we're doing. Hey, find some gold for us, you know.
And so I guess my question then would be, with the fact that it's international waters, how does that go for your claim? Because you're finding this, so then is it yours, or does the British government then say, wait a minute, that was our ship, they got sunk, and so we want our treasure back? Or, you know, New York says, well, by the way, you know, you found it in New York City, so it's New York City's treasure. I mean, how does that work?
Well, to be honest with you, That is the only reason why we were able to claim the wreck, is because it's considered international waters. Had that wreck been lying 10 feet or 20 feet away, it would have been in state waters. Therefore, we couldn't even have
governments.
No, it would have belonged to the New York State. But because it belongs to the federal government, we have the legal right to claim it, which I did. So I own the wreck.
So you just have to pay taxes on anything that you
Well,
find?
not exactly. What I did was, the first thing I did was when I found the wreck, I contacted the UK and let them know, listen, we found this wreck. Whether the fact is that we found it, we still realize that it is a sovereign ship belonging to your country. And once you do that, once you go to the English government and you tell them, listen, we recognize this is your ship. We're just diving it, even though we claimed it, we would like rights from you. They are very, very friendly. You know, they're not like some of the other people that found wrecks and said, to hell with the government, this is ours, we're in America. And that's when you hit turmoil. We didn't do that, we went the other route. We went to them and we became really good friends with the archaeologists at Portsmouth, which is the Maritime Museum out there, and they are still a shipbuilding yard out there. And they were very helpful. I mean, I was able to get copies of the original blueprints of the shipbuilding of that ship. I'm the first one in the world to actually have a copy of the original blueprints to build that ship. And they were very happy to give it to me. No problem.
Excellent.
Because of this reason.
So when is it that you're going to dive?
We're
When are we going down?
We're looking to get back into the water somewhere around August. Because I've been in Kenya for the last couple of years.
And you were telling me you have a couple of mines in Kenya too.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have a couple of
not landmines, though.
not landmines, gems and such, right?
Right. I went actually. It's a long story. I'll make it very short. I went to Paris, write a book on Josephine Baker, and met my wife there. And she's actually Kenyan, and we went back to Kenya, got married, did the whole thing, and I started working for an NGO, a non-for-profit, helping the people out there. And then just literally because of my geology background and archaeological background, I just literally fell into, a friend of mine had a couple of mines and invited me along, and I just started mining, and they asked me, would you like to be partners with us? So, absolutely, sure. Why not?
I'll own a mine somewhere.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I get to wear the jewelry and go,
That's right.
and see. All I like to do is see and touch. So I love seeing the old wreckage. I love archaeology. I actually went to Mexico in November, and I went all over the sites and learning all about the Mayan. So it was wonderful. But our time is up, and we have to go.
One quick thing, if you want to know something about archaeology, you should really come with me to Tanzania. Because when I was in Tanzania, I actually found the remains of a World War II German bunker that has not been touched until present. And when I went into there, I mean, these huge black doors in the caves with the words Achtung, Achtung, German Eagle. We went inside and seen a row of German trucks lined up. I mean, this thing has been untouched. And I've been trying to get a team together to get down there and explore these bunkers. It would be really awesome.
Well, you can always hire me and Eric to go with you and do the documentary. We travel wherever. So thank you for being with us. And we have our very own Indy Jones here, Joseph. So thanks for being here. Thank you for tuning in to FX Gay TV as well as Pleasure.
And if anybody wants to email me,
yes, please. How do they contact you?
It's Joey Treasures, it's plural, at yahoo.com.
And it's Joey, Joey,
right?
JoeyTreasures.com. And feel free to talk to Joey in case you want to help him, finance his explorations, or maybe you might come with us and see him dive live.
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay.
Thanks for being with us. That was good. That was good. Yes, we need pictures so that we can. I mentioned the pictures while we were talking. So, and then you send us the pictures, and then what we do is, as we're talking, you